just a kind of a late bloomer, and I feel like that's kind of been me in my basketball career. Every stage of from high school to college was the same thing, and even pros. Yeah, I was right there in a horror story, bad basketball situation for me, and it set me really far behind. I've truly enjoyed my time here, though. I mean, I feel like I found the right spot for me in terms of organization, city, everything. My role with the team. It's been great.
Welcome back to another episode of The Huddle, and again, I say I'm waiting for certain guests, but I've been waiting for this man to have a longer form chat because he's not new to NBL fans, he's not new to Illawarra fans, he's just changed a couple teams, but he seems in the best possible situation this season, both on and off the court. Trey Kell joins me from the Illawarra Hawks. Trey, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How's everything with you?
Everything's good. There's a lot of games. I think from my side, now that I've retired, games with no break, it's a lot harder to manage. Whereas as playing, well, you don't have to practice as much. Games is what you want to do. I'm assuming that's how this January has been for you.
For sure. As soon as we kind of saw the schedule, I mean, your initial thought is like, man, that's a lot of games in a short period of time. But then it's less practices, so that's always a benefit from a player standpoint, and less time for the coaches to yell at you. So that's always the bright side of having a hectic schedule like that.
We've seen what the Hawks have been able to accomplish to this point in the season. We know the goals, they're bigger. You want to win a championship. Mm-hmm. But to get to where you are now, just looking back at this whole season for you, how do you sum it all up?
Man, I mean, part of it is just kind of what we expected coming in, to be honest. I mean, JT's made it known from the moment he talked to me and since I got here that, this is what we came here to do. We came here to, be a top team, show everyone that we were a top team, and we have serious, championship aspirations. And I'm sure, every team says that, but we wanted to go out there and prove it. And, that's kind of what we've done so far.
So you've been in the league now 3 years. You played at the Phoenix. You went to the Adelaide 36ers. So you've had road trips to the Gong before joining the Hawks. Has anything surprised you about, I guess, the lifestyle or anything since joining Illawarra, or did you know what you were getting yourself into because you played there a few times?
I wasn't. The only thing that really kind of caught me by surprise, like I kind of heard, the community support that you get from the, smaller community that you have here. But I wasn't, aware of like how serious it was. Like, I've been into other cities and I can move around normal, and everyone kind of leaves me alone. And even like the other day, like I was at the store and just someone randomly comes up to me. He's like, I'm a huge Hawks fan. You're having a great year. Like, keep up the good work. So that's something that's been a little different and something that wasn't, necessarily used to. But it's been great, though, since I've been here, for sure.
Take us back to the offseason. We've spoke a little bit about it when offseason rolls around, the end of the Adelaide 36ers, and JT spoke a lot about how he really wanted to bring you into this group. He saw you as a key component into building what's now been the best team in the league. How did that all take place?
Yeah, I remember that call like it was yesterday. I was in a hotel on the road in Germany when I was with my team in Turkey at the time, and JT was like, can we just hop on a phone call and, just kind of discuss some things. And, every player wants to hear, a coach that really wants them and a team that really wants them. And JT made it known that, you're priority number one. I think you can come into this team and, really be a difference maker for us and, something that can help us and help you in your career at the same time. And, everything that he's kind of said has came to fruition. I was very straightforward with him and what I was looking for. And he was very straightforward as well. And, we just bounced some ideas off each other. And the thing I appreciated most too, it wasn't like a pressured call where it's like, I need you to commit to us or anything like that. It was just, let's just get to know each other, over the next month or so, couple months and, see where things go. But, we really want you to be here. And, I really appreciated that and played a huge part in, why I ended up, choosing to come to Illawarra.
Your pro career has taken you all around the world before initially coming to the NBL with the Phoenix. Before we talk about how you got there in the first place, did you envision when you first touched down 3 years later, you'd still be in Australia, still playing the NBL?
Nah, I didn't, especially for me too. I just had a lot of things going on my first year with Southeast, some things personally going on that, very few people understand. And at the same time, I know for me personally, I didn't have that's probably one of my worst years in my career. So I didn't expect to from that aspect, but um, I was glad when Adelaide reached out because I wanted to, kind of prove to myself and others as well that, I can play and I feel like I can play in any league and, check off that box doing that. And then did I expect to come to Illawarra? I did not. But like we just talked about, that call with JT kind of, changed things. And yeah, I'm glad I'm still here at this point. It's been great.
You're a veteran in the pro game, but you talk about going through some struggles in that first year of the Phoenix, being on the other side of the world, and sometimes fans don't really understand what that's like. How hard is it to deal being so far away from home and family and loved ones when you are maybe not feeling as good as you should be?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. I mean, only you can only get so much of venting on the phone that
Mm.
you know it, it only gets you so far. So yeah, that was difficult for me. I mean, a lot of venting calls back home to my fiance now, but my girlfriend at the time, and my mom and everything. And yeah, it only gets you so far, man. Like it's really can be a mental grind. I mean, more than the physical some days. And yeah, and it just putting the amount of pressure that you put on yourself. For me personally, put a lot of pressure on myself to play better, and sometimes that doesn't work in your favor as well too. When you're kind of in a struggle and just every shot feels like it has to go in, and it just kind of creates an avalanche downhill. So yeah, that was a year of I look back on and kind of glad it happened because it kind of got me into a different focus. But at the same time, though, it was a tough year for me.
Taking it right back to where it all began, growing up California, tell us a little bit about when basketball first became that realistic dream of, you know what, I want to play this at the highest level. I want to get paid to play this game.
Man, I mean, I started probably playing basketball when I was like 8, 9 years old. But honestly, I didn't know I was really that good at basketball until like my junior year of high school. Um, I remember my sophomore year going into like my junior year, like just getting a random letter from like a smaller Division 1 school, and I was just like, man, that would be crazy just to play Division 1 basketball. So just a kind of a late bloomer, and I feel like that's kind of been me in my basketball career. Every stage of from high school to college was the same thing, and even pros. Like my career did not start like how I wanted it to, and just been a late bloomer when it came to that too. So yeah, just 8 or 9, just kind of I just love basketball. Growing up watching the Lakers and big Kobe guys, so just watching that all the time and fell in love with it. And then it wasn't until like high school that I was like, I think I might have a chance to make some money with it and see how far I can take it.
You ended up having a very good college career. Firstly, getting that initial letter from a smaller Division 1 school to then where you ended up, San Diego State. How did that all transpire? What did that feel like for you in the moment, but also the family, who I'm sure this is the ultimate thing you want to achieve at that time? It's like,
Yeah,
how high can I possibly get?
yeah, it was. Yeah, man, it was kind of like a complete 180 1 year to the next. Like I remember, like I said, getting a letter from a really small school. I can't even remember the name, and just being like, man, I would love to go there, have a free education. To the next summer, ending up with like 20, 25 Division 1 offers from like one weekend at an AAU tournament. So that was kind of crazy. And one thing that I hated was having to talk on the phone all the time because I'm just a laid back, I'm not really talkative like that. But yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy, and just me being at home. And at the time, San Diego State was becoming, one of those mid-major schools, but really like play like a high major school, constantly top 25, constantly in the tournament, and going to those games and seeing the atmosphere and stuff like that. Like I've always said I always wanted to have a chance to play there. When I had that chance and I went to other schools, I always felt like that was I mean, I had a close call and almost went to another school actually, but ended up choosing there, and it was a great decision for me.
You've seen now, I mean, the whole pathway landscape in basketball in general has changed in terms of how to get recruited and everything in technology, social media. It's changed for guys coming out of high school. But talking
Yeah.
about all those offers in potential Division 1 schools, And you know now how important it is to pick the right one. How
Yeah.
hard was it at the time thinking this decision here can potentially set me up to play professionally, or if it ends up being the wrong one, you have to transfer and then it can end up being in a whirlwind after that?
Yeah, like, yeah, it's tough when it comes to choosing colleges. I mean, at least for me, because I feel like the advice, people usually give you is like, follow your gut. You'll kind of know when you get there, especially when you take your official visits. And honestly, I took four, and all four, I imagined myself, I could have committed on the spot. Like, I was like, man, I feel like, and it wasn't even like just the awe of everything. It was like, honestly, I can see myself from a basketball perspective, being in the city, the community, and everything like that. I was just like, man, I really like can imagine myself at all four schools. So it was a difficult choice. But yeah, I mean, it's hard because I mean you hear countless stories of people saying they chose the wrong school and it set them back, um, you know, and potentially could ruin their pro career as well. So it's definitely something that kids got to take serious and definitely have the right people in their corner to make sure they don't make that mistake.
Is there any one memory or anything, one year in particular, that stood out to you looking back on your college that helped shape who you are today?
Probably the first week of practices at San Diego State. I mean, just one the jump from high school to college, and that was the first time I ever started playing point guard. At the time, they were just we don't really have a solidified point guard, and they were high on my skill ability, but they're just like if you want to start, you're gonna have to play the point guard. So part of me was like, yeah, I don't know, but at the same time, obviously you want to start. So I was like, let's kind of see how it goes. And I had an okay freshman year, and a lot of it was just that learning curve of learning a position I've never necessarily played before. But I think that kind of helped me to get to where I am today and being able to be a bigger point guard or also play the two as well.
The move to a point guard in the NBL has been fascinating, and we have spoke about on broadcast about how you have that background. When did it then go back to being more of a shooting combo guard? And when did you start maybe having the itch thinking, I want to go back to that. I want to be that true point guard? Because that switch in Adelaide and what you've managed to do, it's been a revelation for your career here. And it looks like if you're a new fan now, you're watching thinking you were always just a point guard.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, that was a funny part when that whole thing kind of came about and people in Australia were kind of surprised. Like I was like, nah, I was like I came into Australia at a point guard. But I mean, Southeast was, they talked to me about being a two when I came in because obviously they had Gary Brown at the time, and us kind of working together. But once I got to Adelaide and how the year kind of started off, like I constantly just try to talk to him about, I feel like I can do more. And I think some people kind of get it confused in terms of like I was looking to score more and things like that. I was just like, no, I think I can, be an all around guard. I can score, I can get people involved, I can rebound and push the break and stuff like that. And obviously we had a not so good start with Adelaide last year. So there were some things that we just kind of um, looked to change. And one of those, they finally kind of listened to me and was just like, all right, we'll let you be the point guard and kind of see how things go. And then I think the evidence shown though that was the right move. And JT saw, a couple of my best games that year in that position. And I think that kind of, made him want me to be the same player and come over to Illawarra.
One of those best games would be the triple double in Illawarra. In
Yeah.
the NBL, getting triple doubles, it's a lot harder than around the world, especially the assist part. But
Yeah.
there are also the key moments when people look at, like, you've got to hunt rebounds yourself. Now, it's harder in this Illawarra team where you've got some big bodies who go
Yeah.
after rebounds, but being able to do all that, set those little challenges, it seems like it's that part of a point guard role that you would love to be able to do every little bit to the best of your ability rather than just being a flat out scorer or shooter.
Yeah, like I've always said, I just feel like I just play the game and take what's given to me. So I think even this year is a perfect example where, there's games where I have five points, but we still win by 25. So it's like, it's not my game to try to go out there and score 25. Like it's not necessarily needed that day. So that's how I always viewed my game, honestly. And yeah, just, I mean, this year's won't be the same as last year. Last year, we had I feel like a little bit of a smaller team, and I was needed more in the rebounding category. And this year, we have guys that do a great job rebounding for us. So just try to impact the game in different ways. But yeah, I just kind of go with what the game tells me to do and go from there.
When you first started in your first professional contract, I was reading that you talk about the offers you had for college, but a lot of high level professional around the world decisions to choose from. How do you make that initial decision as someone who's grown up in America, you've gone to school at San Diego State, to now figuring out what country am I going to play at? Because there are, and you'd know, and a lot of people out there, there's some horror stories depending on where you end up in the world.
Yeah, well, you can throw me right in that boat of a horror story. Um, I'm not going to get into the specifics of the situation, but I didn't really know a lot of those opportunities were presented to me at the time. And I was I felt like pushed in a specific direction and ended up being one of the worst decisions for me, honestly. I think I'd be a lot further on in my career if I didn't have that situation. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really true. Like, just like we talked about with the college situation, I mean, your career, especially starting off, it's really big to try to find that right situation for you. And I found the wrong one, and it put me super far behind the eight ball and just trying to play catch up, basically until, a few years or the year before I signed to Southeast, honestly. And I went to, Milan and EuroLeague. That was kind of funny when I got back on track. But yeah, I was right there in a horror story, bad basketball situation for me. And it set me really far behind.
How do you deal with that mentally at the time? Again, we spoke about going through some different challenges at the Phoenix. And again, being in a place you're not comfortable with, not being around the loved ones that you have, because we see a lot of people when you get in that hole, it's hard to dig yourself out of. And you've found a way to do it, which I'm assuming you sit here and are proud of what you've been able to achieve, knowing you had to get through that.
Yeah, no, that's something I constantly tell myself. It's just like, remember where you started at and be proud of where you are today. Because honestly, I've heard from multiple different people, even my agents, every time I see them, like they'll always like randomly just laugh and be like, man, I can't believe like you are where you are today. Like most people will just like their career would have been done. Because there was so much stacked against me after that situation. But honestly, like just goes back to like I truly love playing basketball. So I just worked out every day and that was a bright spot for me. And then also too, just being confident in my abilities and knowing that, some of these guys that are getting signed in other places, I feel like I was better than and just trying to keep, working out every day and hoping that situation would come and taking full advantage of it, honestly. And I felt like, when that situation did arrive, it was basically all or nothing at that point. And luckily, I just took full advantage of it and gradually, started making those steps to get back on track.
When the phone call came to potentially continuing your career in Australia, what did you know about one, the country and the league before ending up at Southeast Melbourne?
Honestly, nothing. I didn't know anything. My agent kind of told me about it, and I really like basketball wise. You just get the stereotypical things that you hear from the U.S. standpoint of, you go to Australia, you're gonna see a bunch of, the white, the blonde, colored eyes, and beaches everywhere. And my biggest concern was the spiders and snakes. That was my thing. So I was just like, yeah, I can't walk into the house and see a huge spider. Like it's just not gonna work. So I made sure that wasn't the case. But honestly, I didn't know too much. But I just knew obviously Australia is a great country, and I was excited for the opportunity though for sure, and experience the league firsthand.
What was those first challenges like then, I guess, off the court, living in Melbourne now? You get to be in Wollongong for this season, which I've spoke about. That's the best road trip that I could always remember because you walk out of the hotel, you're right on the beach,
Mhm.
all the different places around. But that first year in Melbourne, did you get to explore? Did you get to do anything that you thought, you know what, this is a beautiful place to be at?
Um, See, not necessarily. I felt like I was just so like my mind was so just everywhere at that point that I felt like a lot of the times I was just sitting there just trying to find a sense of peace in my room. So yeah, I mean, I did some exploring. I just sat in the house every day, but at the same time, I felt like I didn't take advantage of it as much as I should because so much of it I was just trying to every day figure out what I can't do to kind of just turn the situation around and stuff like that. But I mean, Melbourne's a great city. It reminds me a lot of like like a New York back home. Just so much to do, traffic all the time. Uh, it's a huge city, though. That's one thing that caught me off guard. Driving 45 minutes to practice every day was not ideal, but yeah, it was a great city, though. I wish I took more advantage of it while I was there, but I didn't really do as much as I should have.
Well, it's a different driving 45 minutes to practice in Melbourne compared to being in the Gong now. Tell us what's
Yeah.
the day-to-day life like for Trey Kell and Wollongong?
Pretty much wake up. We got weights about what 8:15 in the morning. Then practice at 10 o'clock. Rest of the day. For me, I'm a huge nap guy. I know they like to go to the beach and go bask in the sun, which is crazy. I'm from San Diego, but I'm not a big beach guy like that.
Mm.
It might be because I grew up around it, so it's kind of just like whatever to me now. But yeah, not a big beach guy. So come home, make some food. Usually talk to my family and everybody back home for a little bit. Have to get me a nap in. And by then, usually wake up, see if there's some NBL games on the night. Might watch those. Cook some food, and usually hop on Call of Duty 2K for an hour or two, and then do it all over again. So yeah, I'm a real simple, laid back, boring kind of guy, but that's what gets it done for me.
I was about to say you do a good job of getting to what you have to get done. Then this vibe around the Illawarra Hawks team,
Yeah,
especially since JT has taken over. When you look back at this year, after however far you go, hopefully that's with the championship. But this group in particular of players, coaches, can you recall anything close to that vibe of the joy of everybody just smiling all the time? JT talks about the competitiveness of practice, but it all comes from a sense of everybody just wants to be around each other.
yeah. No, it's definitely special. It reminds me honestly of a year I had when I was in Poland, and we ended up winning the championship that year. Like a lot of the same thing, where just we didn't care, who did what, who was the highest scorer, who did whatever. We just wanted to win the game, and we would have super competitive practices where, we're talking trash to each other, and it might get a little heated, and then you walk in the locker room, and then we're laughing about something stupid as hell in the locker room. It's just, just bring like that's really just what we do every day. Like a lot of our conversations are really stupid, honestly. Like we don't talk about anything like serious. We just laugh, crack jokes all day. But we do a great job of, when it's time to practice and it's time to lock in for the game, we're able to kind of flip that switch and lock in and, be a really competitive together team.
How does JT do a good job of facilitating that? Because he's a unique coach in terms of the player relationships that he has and that he's built up. And
Yeah.
I'm sure, a big reason why everybody is one competitive, but everybody just loves to hang out with each other and do what they do as teammates.
Yeah. Now, the best way to describe JT is like, he's one of us, but we respect him as a coach. So, like, you've been on teams in the past where you'll be talking about something, and then a coach will kind of walk in, and you'd be like, "Oh, like, be quiet, don't talk about that, my coach." Like, honestly, I don't feel like there's any conversation we can have or have had that we're like, JT's around. Like, let's not say that. Like, we can say whatever. JT will crack jokes on us just like we can crack jokes on him. But at the same time, like I said, when it's time to lock in for film practice or he's got something serious to say, we do a great job of locking in and understanding he's our coach and respecting him as our coach and knowing he's the leader of this team.
We get to see a lot of the fun stuff. We get to chat to him in interviews, and he's one of the best for that. Has he had a moment in practice or anything where maybe he's had a real big crack at someone and everyone's gone, whoa?
In practice, like he won't necessarily call out a specific person. He'll just kind of like call out in general, but the whole team will know who he's talking about. So like the best thing was probably like, like the drill where it's like 2-on-1, 3-on-2.
Mm.
Yeah. So we did that drill one day. And we normally do it twice. So we did it first time, second time. And one person on the team didn't go on for either of those games. And it was right before I think we had lost to Adelaide and we're going to Perth the next game, I believe. So then he's like, all right. He's like, step out on the court if you didn't go in either of those games. So then the person steps out on the court And then Joe sitting on the sideline, he's like, "All right, Joe." He's like, "You might need to change that plane ticket because I need 12 vote some serious language in there, 12 so and so's that are ready to go into Perth and win this so and so game." And so that was the funniest one to me because like he's the only one that walks out, so everyone knows who he's talking about. And then after losses, because he gets in the heat of the battle and the adrenaline and everything's going, he'll kind of go off on us a little bit, but we know it's coming from a good place. He's competitive like us, so just like there's certain days players might blow off some steam, and it doesn't mean too much. We give him the same leeway, knowing he sees it just like a player and takes losses just like us, and just let it. We'll see the next day how he wakes up and how he is the next day.
No, I think it's very unique to have that relationship, understanding the place it comes from, and also him understanding the playing group and how you guys are navigating through it. You in particular this season, though, it's been an unbelievable individual season. When you first get to Illawarra, for a team that has most of its core coming back, and everybody was looking at what could they achieve, how could they get another step further, is there any side of you thinking, how do I fit into this group that's already there? Or how do you get to understanding, okay, this is my role now? Because it seems seamless from the outside in.
Yeah, no, it was part of it is kind of like what I discussed before. Like honestly, I feel like I'm a plug and play kind of guy. I feel like I just kind of go with what the team needs. Obviously, being an import in this league, you do have to take on some of the scoring load. But yeah, like I said, we don't necessarily worry about that. Like it honestly did seem like I think I had like one practice, and then we had the first scrimmage game against the Shanghai team.
Mm.
And from that point, like it was like everyone's encouraging me to shoot because that first couple practices and games, you kind of swinging the ball, trying to get acclimated, and they're like, "Nah, shoot the ball. Like I'll rebound it, or I'll do this or do that. Like we don't care." So just hearing that from guys that you just met, honestly, helps a lot. And yeah, that just made it seem like I've been here for honestly. It seems like I've been here longer than I have, even though it's only been a 4 or 5 months or whatever it is. It seems like it's been like a year or two.
The business side of pro sports is that the agent is obviously going to be talking about what's next and where your career wants to go. Not getting into all of that side of things, but understanding the joy you've had this year, the way you've played.
Yeah,
Is this a place you could see yourself playing for a foreseeable future?
for sure. I mean, obviously, a bunch of people around here always ask me that and everything, but I've truly enjoyed my time here, though. I mean, I feel like I found the right spot for me in terms of organization, city, everything. My role with the team. It's been great. So yeah, if that was the situation and it was to come about, I mean, I would love the opportunity. It's been great.
Has the family come out much at all, or if at all, in the last 3 years? And if that comes longer with a longer deal, are we going to see some people out here for Trey Kell for a bit longer?
Yeah, I mean, I had my mom's sister and my dad. They came out earlier in the year, the first time to Australia. So that was cool. And I think that might have been the first time my dad see me play professionally in person. So that was a cool experience. And then my fiance was here a few weeks ago. She was also able to make it out to Adelaide last year. But I mean, we've had some talks about it, me and my fiance, where if I signed you know, a longer deal in a specific spot, and trying to get her out here for a little bit and at least longer than a week or two. So we've had some talks about it. And I think that if that's the case, yeah, I'll have some more people out here. But just the work schedules and everything, trying to make it work right now is kind of hectic.
Be careful, man. Yeah, look at Tyler Harvey. A lot of people, they come here, they stay a couple of years, and they're going to become Australian.
That's the running joke with the team. Him and JT are going to have their jersey retired in Wollongong up here in the arena.
Yeah, as it should be.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, everyone, we talk about how much we love the Hawks. So I need to ask you this. I'm going to ask every Illawarra player I talk to now.
Yeah.
On a plane trip over to Perth, the longest trip that we have, who do you not want to be sitting next to?
As from the players or anybody?
Well, you could bring the coaches into it if you want, but let's go players.
All right. Well, the obvious answer is JT, but it's just it's not necessarily because he's a coach. It's because he's got these huge shoulders. So like you're legit have you're just sitting there like this for 5 hours or whatever the flight is. So that's the obvious answer. From players wise, that's a good question. Um,
I get a lot of Lucky All Bricks, which a lot of people wouldn't suspect.
yeah, that's a good one. But Lucky's kind of to himself. I'm trying to think of people that like bother you a lot. You know what? I'll probably say Tyler.
Really?
Because Tyler, the last time we were on the plane, I sat next to him and I was asleep. I woke up to him taking a whole video of him, like his head next to me, like taking a video of me sleep and him telling me to like fake talking to me and like being like, wake up. So like that probably be my like just let me sleep, bro. Like clearly
Yeah.
I'm asleep, but he always likes to make it a big point of like if I'm asleep, like, yeah, bro, I saw you were asleep over there. I'm like, yes, I was asleep. Leave me alone.
That'd annoy me too. That's
Yeah,
fair
you
enough.
know what I mean? Yeah.
Man, thank you so much. Good luck for the rest of the season. Hopefully, you have a deep finals run. It ends in a championship.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, man.